Good day and welcome to the 10th episode of the marathon series, The Difference Between a Billionaire and a Church Rat and the Michelle and Tony Show. Today we are going to be ending this marathon. We hope you have learned a lot. We hope you have grabbed a lot of value. I don't know if you have, because I have, you get. So, over what we did yesterday, we talked about time and how billionaires make use of their time, how they invest in their time, how they are aware that time is a tool that can be turned into anything, how church rats are not even aware of how precious and how diamond time is. And when you're not aware of that fact, you're not going to be able to use it, you're not going to be able to preserve it, you're not going to be able to sustain it. So, for today's topic, we are going to be talking about identity. We're going to be talking about identity, right? How rich people become while how church rats always complain, right? So, starting off this topic, I'm just going to point out to this very known illusion, right? This illusion of I'm trying. Some say I'm trying, but in actuality, they are really stalling, right? But in actuality, they are not like really doing anything, right? You understand? For example, now reading is good, you understand? But there's a very big difference between the person who reads self-help books all day and the person who consistently implements what he was taught from the self-help books all day. They are very wide apart, right? Now, like I said yesterday on our show, there's a difference between movement and achievement, right? This is basically what this first point is about. I just wanted to clarify. I just wanted to understand, clarify it. Like there is big difference between actually doing something and actually achieving something, right? So don't be the doer, be the achiever. You understand? And like we said yesterday, we're not going to be the ones to tell you how to achieve. First of all, you go back to episode 3, you're going to learn about vision. You get the vision, and then all the steps you take today should be aligned towards that vision. Now, when you do something today that is taking you a step closer to that vision, you have achieved something. You understand? You see the flow now, right? That's why all the episodes in this particular podcast, they are blockchain, they are tied down back to back, right? So let's hand the mic over to Tony and let's see what he has for us today.
Yeah, well, hi guys. Again, it's very good to be back here. Last episode of this series. It's been a wild ride, but yeah. Speaking on this topic of basically identity, the truth about the matter is people either focus on becoming or complaining, right? They they're always like basically there's always that person that always focus on progress, and then there's the other person that is always basically just there to complain, right? But then now this episode now is going to draw a line between actions and excuses, so we know whether or not we are actually making what's it called progress, or we are not making progress at all, basically, or we are stagnating. Now, first of all, I think this quote has been said multiple times on this channel, but I want to reiterate it. People should stop confusing movement for achievement. Right?
Very important.
It's very important. You guys stop confusing movement for what's it called achievement. So basically, I think that is what we're going to basically talk about in this podcast. For instance, now you see somebody who's telling you that these are the reasons why I cannot make it. Like this is the reason why I can't get into this what's it called field. So and so and so and so and so. That's the excuse this guy is giving you, right? He's always complaining about the negatives. Always basically reiterating the negative part about everything, right? He's never really seeing the positive. Right? He's never seeing that what he's gaining, the knowledge that will excel into the next level, right? And then that's like something that a lot of people end up doing. And you see that 10 persons, right, who want to become content creators. Even the first person might have more potential than the other, but then
At the end of the
at
day,
the end of the day, it's just
one or two that end
yeah,
up
they end up becoming the content creator that everybody knows today. But then the rest were basically in the same group and the same caliber. Want both had the same idea, but you see that the rest were complaining, whereas few were focused on being and becoming, right? So that is the essence of this topic. Now, one thing I want to basically talk about here in this on this issue about what's it called becoming, right, is that one thing I'm basically going to talk about in this podcast is that, yeah, people should basically focus on the so like one thing I want to talk about on this podcast is, you know, micro choices basically that basically shape our identity.
Yeah.
Right? Micro choices that basically shape our identity. Now what you need to understand here is we've talked about choices. And like Michelle said, this whole series is connected, it's like a blockchain, it's connected, right? And then we've talked about choices and how powerful choices are basically. The small tiny choices you make today in your life shapes the identity and what you become, right? Basically, these are the certain things that you put together, certain tools that you want to start making, certain decisions in your life that you make today that becomes that makes you who you want to be in the future, right? Would you want to be that person that is always an optimistic mind, is always optimistic about things, always thinking about basically the positive side of things and looking out to leverage and bank on those positives, those advantages that they have, right? Or would you want to be that person that is far bent on just existing, right? And always wants to find the negative and play it safe and just be a hindrance to himself, basically, right? The choices that you make today is very powerful, right? And it's very important that you understand that choices that you make in life shapes who you will become, right? It is like you're creating, what's it called, a pot, right? Using what is it called, ceramics, right?
Yeah.
The certain things you put together, right? Certain things you're going to use to put men together to create that pot are the choices that you're going to make in life, right? Those are the choices you're going to make in life. You need those choices that you're going to make in life to create the identity of that pot, to create these pieces together, you're going to put together to create the identity of that pot. That is the essence of choices. They are like certain pieces that you need to put together. Through those choices, you make those certain pieces, right? Basically come to life. And the more you make those choices, right, the more good choices you make, the more the pot is coming into fruition, right? The idea is coming into fruition, basically. So yeah, identity is mainly down to the choices you make, the micro choices you make, the very much small choices that we make in life. And I think, in as much as people tend to, overlook certain things, certain labels, certain choices in life, right? It is very powerful to understand that these things that seem as very what's it called, little, right? Very insubstantial, very unimportant, basically, are the most important things you need to succeed in life, to achieve your goals. These are the small things. That is why it is unimportant in the eye, and that's why the public, the society, makes them unimportant, basically, because it is very powerful that they don't want you to know, so that you will just keep on lacking the same what's it called, basically, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to make you understand that identity isn't a label. Isn't just given to somebody, right? Isn't just given to somebody, just say, yeah, this person is this person because of he's just who he is. Exactly. It's not just, it's a creation, it's a pattern, right? It's a certain habits you take, right? Certain choices, certain things you've done in your life, things that people are seeing from outside and like label, they will now make it an identity. Do you understand? Being rich wasn't just I made money in less than 24 hours. Being rich was the sequence, the choices you made, the risk you took, the certain your lifestyle you basically implemented. Certain decisions you made in life that took you to that level that of being rich. That is how we create identity of someone. That's how someone's identity basically is being created, right? And then why are these things so small, like I was talking about? I said that it's so small because of because it's so small because small things basically are what have been overlooked today, right? Small businesses, small ideas, right, are what's been overlooked today because you see how unimportant you feel like this thing is not really. That is where you need to look at. That is where you need to look at, because those small things are plenty. They just end up, they grow into big trees, and then when that small thing grows into a big tree, you're basically like, okay, but then this thing was not like this. I didn't expect. This is what you don't expect, right? Form that basically use the most what's it called what's it called fruition. Basically use the most success, right? Now, like I was saying, okay, let me give an example of Bitcoin. Basically, Bitcoin was a very very small thing. I mean, nobody really saw as important. Somebody really saw as anything that would basically had profit. Nobody really saw it as. There was a time where you could sell one Bitcoin to get pizza, right? You could just pizza was $2 pizza you could get for one Bitcoin. So it was people were sorry, it was 2 Bitcoins to get one pizza, yeah. And people were doing it. People were seeing that Bitcoin was such an important tool. Nobody really needed it because it wasn't anything big at the time, right? And society basically made it look like it wasn't anything big, and it really didn't have. It was those people who paid attention to the small details, to the certain things. They really sat back and they really analyzed where they would want to be, how that thing would make him, how big that thing could become, saw the potential, and invested in Bitcoin. And today, those people are billionaires, right? And now you're looking at it now like, oh, guy, we didn't expect Bitcoin to be as big as this. Blah, 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 blah. In 2009, in this, that, in 2015, it wasn't that. So look at how small things basically become a big thing. You see all these big trees you see all day. It was planted, and what you did needed to just plant the big trees were certain small seeds that really you won't look at it and be like, can this small seed produce this big tree? You will not expect it from that tree. That is how nature was basically made life to be. And that is how these certain small habits you make, you implement, choices you do in life will prepare you to that level that you want to be. And if you want to now be at that level, it is all these unimportant things you need to look at. All these unimportant things you need to look at to understand that, yes, before I get to that level, I have to pay attention to these things. I have to know that they are as important as I actually could think about. So yeah, what's one daily thing, right, Micho?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to ask you this question now. What's one tiny daily thing you do that makes you feel like you're becoming better?
Well, for me, it's reading, right? For me, it's just reading. I'm not someone that used to like overread in a day, but like you say, tiny habits that build up over time, the compounding effect, right? So over time, they compound. So I just take, because I want to grow my skill in sales and persuasion very well. So I'll just take a book on sales, right? Read it for a very short while, not up to 20 minutes. Drop it. The next day I do the same thing. Like we always preach here, consistency over intensity, right? It's not about reading 2 hours today and not being able to finish it tomorrow. But when you start small, you'll be able to like carry the thing on and keep going.
Yeah.
There's something I want to talk about. I think, day before, on Saturday, today is Monday. On Saturday, I was watching a video in the morning of Myron Golden, the dark man, white hair, white beard. Almost everybody should know the guy. So the guy was saying that like what you focus on increases. Like you inevitably become what like you focus on. For example, now I don't know exactly how he put it, but he gave this example now. Adam and Eve, they were in a garden with thousands of fruits, everything they needed, right? Now, the garden, the tree that they were asked not to eat of was at the center of the garden. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, what made you think that they ate on that tree? He was using it to refer to the fact that when you focus on scarcity, you forget your abundance. Like that tree was literally in the middle of the Garden of Eden. So it means that they walked through all the food, all the fruit, and everything on their left and right hand side. And they kept on going, 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 ignoring the abundance around them and focusing on the lack. Right? Now, how is it related to what this topic is talking about now? When you focus on why you can't start, you understand? When you focus on complaining, right? It will just continue to increase. You understand? The thing about complaining is like it's a very wicked cycle. You don't need to do it too much. All you just need to do is to do it once, and it will continue repeating. You understand? It's like this. It's like should I say like a vase? that you don't need to mend it much, but it can just keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. For example, now you complain, you give a complaint today, right? You complain about something. You say this is why I can't start it. It's like you just complain, you complain. This is the reason. You understand? You blame things that are outside you. When you do it once now, even if you don't realize it, that thing is so internally satisfying, right? Then you do it again. Now the second time is going to become better than the first time. So now you're not going to become, over time now it will compound, and then what are you going to become? You're going to become so good at complaining. Your complaining skills are going to be A1. Like, if somebody listening to you, if somebody listens to you complain, the person won't see any fault in your complaints. You understand? But that's the thing now. It will make you poor. Simple. That's just the thing. It doesn't matter whether they see fault or they don't see fault, or your complaining skills is perfect. Or complaining will make you poor. It will make you poor. You keep on blaming things that are outside you, bro. You know, this morning, as I was coming back, from jogging, I was just thinking to myself, guy. I was like, if only people know that they are responsible for themselves. Like, if like the thing about admitting that you are responsible for yourself, right? The thing about admitting that you are in charge of your life, I think the first stage of it stinks so bad, right? You're not saying that the reason you are broke, the reason you don't have a body you like, the reason you're not a person you like, the reason like you are not that person you want to be, is your fault. And that thing is a lot to take in. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's a lot to take in. Like, bro, it's like a lot to take in. Like, how can you tell someone that the reason why you have not achieved everything you want to achieve that is because of you? It's a lot to take in. But then the second stage of that realization now is that it's so fucking, like, bro, it's so fucking sweet, guy. Like, when you're like, I can do anything that I want to do, irrespective of what a lecturer gives me as a grade, irrespective of the certificate the school gives me after my 5 years, irrespective of what anybody says. Like, bro, it will just become so fucking sweet, guy. You will now be like, you will now be enjoying the process of actually making your life happen, because now you know that your life is in your hands now. Anything that goes wrong is your fault. Anything that also goes right is also your fault. So now you're now experiencing this high, this mental high that most people never get to experience in their entire life, because they just end up blaming Nigeria and blaming their uncle and blaming their brother and blaming their sister and blaming everybody for where they are. I bet you the instant you take responsibility, fuck, God, it is going to be so fucking painful for someone to tell you to your face that the reason why everything is not going well in your life now is your fault. Maybe it's not practically your fault, but you know that you are responsible for yourself, right? Now, that thing now gives you power. It gives you serious power now. Now, check between these two people now. The person that knows that his life is in his hand now and he's working consciously, you understand, to make his finance grow. You understand? He's chasing more knowledge on finance. He's trying to know more. He's trying to learn more. He's trying to grow more, and inevitably he will become more than the person that thinks that his finance is in the hands of Nigeria, right? So he keeps on blaming Nigeria for where he is. And the thing about blaming is that you're not even wrong, Seth. Actually, the thing about complaints is that you're not totally wrong. You're not wrong at all. For example, you say that the reason why things are hard, the reason why I'm not doing well, is because of Nigeria. Bro, you're not wrong, guy. But at the same time now, we're not looking at what is right and wrong. We're looking at what is effective, right? In as much as you're not wrong, that mindset is in no way effective. We're looking at an effective mindset, the mindset that will help you go further towards that goal now, which is what you telling yourself that this thing now that is not happening, it's in my hands, and I have the power to fix it. When you tell yourself that you have the power to fix it, you have given yourself all the power that a man needs. Like, when you actually tell yourself that I can actually fix this thing. Like, I can actually like fix my life. I can actually make my life to become the way I want it to be. And the reason my life is not the way I want it to be is because of me. Then you now realize that the only thing that has been standing in your way is yourself. When you now realize that you're the only thing that has been standing in your way, what do? You just move out of the way. And then just like that, you're on a speeding train, you are moving. You understand? Everybody around you is blaming economy, or blaming that lecturer, or blaming that girl, or blaming this person, or blaming that person, or blaming that person. You're blaming yourself, inevitably giving yourself more power. Right? So when you learn to start, you understand? Like the thing about not starting is that I've never seen anybody that does not have a good reason to start. It sounds biased and all, but like, everybody has a reason why they shouldn't start. The people that start and accomplish, and the people that don't start at all, both have reasons not to start. But now, what now separates the normal from the elites are the people that even upon not having good reasons to start, they still start. Like, they just take that blind leap of faith. Like, I think I've said this in the podcast. Like, how can you like exist? How can you live this life? Like, how can you just like be alive without, and for once in your life you've never ever taken that blind leap of faith? What are you now existing for, guy? Stop playing it safe always, guy. You understand? There's something deep I discovered yesterday. Let me not divert much, but it was this thing about the the soul knows before the mind. The mind knows before the soul. But it was the thing about me starting this podcast and wanting to like share more knowledge on with to people, right? When Tony and I started, I never had the initiative of like enlightening people, right? I never had the initiative of like bringing people along this journey, right? But then it was after we started that I now had that initiative, and it was just like perfect. Like, it was just so perfect. Then when I was now asking, I was checking, and I saw a guy that said the the mind knows before the soul, something like that. I think the mind reacts before the soul knows, or something like that. But like, sometimes maybe it might not necessarily make sense now, but if you keep on doing it, you will not find the deeper purpose to it that you can attach to that thing you are doing, right? The thing about complaining is very comfortable, right? It is very, very comfortable. Do you understand? And that is just the whole point. Like, you can't always be living in that comfort zone. That comfort zone is self-destructive. It's self-sabotaging. It's basically killing you. Like, get out of that place, guy. You understand? You know that that place is comfortable and all, but just get out of there. Like, get out of that place. You understand? So, Tony, let's ask you one question. What's one thing you know you should do but always delay?
One thing I should do was always delay.
Yeah.
I think that one thing I should do is exercise every morning. To be fair, like, to be fair, there is, for now, shall I think everything that I'm doing so far for now is everything I want to do, or that I already planned on like doing.
Yeah.
You know, every single thing I saw myself doing, I saw myself doing from last year to this year is actually where I am supposed to be so far, right? Like I said, I told you before, I wanted to be basically a creator that creates content, and then today I'm basically creating content, trading the forex markets, right? I think the only thing that is remaining now is to just like actually just start working out, because I actually want to start working out. But yeah, that is one thing I want to do, and I think the only reason why I've not stayed consistent with it, I always delayed it, is for one thing I want to know is it's not justifiable reason, but it's just whatever reason that a lot of people have, and that is just the fear of having the responsibilities to to taking up that responsibility basically, right? That fear of like, can I do this thing? Like,
Yeah.
I I know I can, but then it's just like I don't want to. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right? That fear of that having that responsibility, being responsible for that thing, basically taking up what's it called, the pains, the struggles that you're going to face. Do you understand? So really, it's not about the fear that whether or not you can't like accomplish it if you put your mind to it. It's just the fear of you taking up responsibility, you having to take up responsibility doing and carrying out that attack. So you just basically that, right? And then I for one know that yes, if I start today, like there's no way that I'll not what's it called get back to that level of fitness that I'm looking at. But then yeah, that's just the reasons. And I think it's the reason for every other person that basically wants to get there. Right? They know they can. Every human being has um it has limited power. There's no limit to what you can do in this life. Seriously. Right? Up to now we never like knew that what's it called we could get what's it called 6G network. We even have 10G, right? Like now we are looking at basically AI is now basically programming themselves. We thought you needed programmers for that, right? We're looking at people who human beings who were trading in the market. Now we're looking at AI now trading in the market for humans. So there are too many things, possibilities. There's so many things that the mind can actually basically produce that you basically limit yourself to thinking that you can't do it, right? Some of us might even know that if we put our mind to that thing, we can actually achieve that thing. But then now the struggles, the responsibilities that would come with it, the sacrifices that will come with doing it is the problems that we are trying to not avoid. Is what we're trying to not to avoid. What we're trying to avoid basically. That's the fear. That I would have to do these things, right? To actually get to that level. So that's why we don't want to basically engage. But now I need you guys to understand that do you, there's a difference between wanting something and needing something. If you need something, you go extra miles to actually getting it. If you really need it, but if you want something, it's just a want. It's just something that's not backed up with the ability to be able to. It's just a willingness to want something. Just like a feel, right? It's nice to you, right? But then you cannot, what's it called, achieve it because you don't need it, right? Like now, there was this guy you were telling me about that in his mind he was the best drummer or something. Like the guy, like he said that he's a musician. He's someone in his dreams that he loved playing music. Basically, he could play the guitar, right, and everything. Now he was so good at it. He loved wanting to play he loved playing the guitar. Basically, he was so good at playing the guitar. But then
When it came to doing the real
when he
stuff.
came to doing, he was not like even close to it. He couldn't even like hold the guitar properly. Basically, this is someone that likes the feeling. Yeah, he wants to be able to play the guitar, but then it's not a need for him. Basically, he doesn't see the need to actually learning it, right? He doesn't see the need to do. He just wants it. He just wants that feeling, but does not see the need. And the moment you don't see the need to go into that, the moment you don't have a need, it means that you cannot achieve that feeling, that want, right? So you have to first have your need. You first have the want, yes, but then you also have to have the need. Do you understand? Have the need, right? Have the ability, right? You can't just want something and not see the need for that thing. If you want it, right? If you want it, then it's pointless. Basically, it's pointless, right? Basically, so yes, that's just basically how I see it, and then yeah, for your question.
Okay, there's a question that I'll particularly like to ask you, right? I maybe I do have the answer, but I think I need clarity on it. Why do you think people complain? Is it because my two theories are like maybe because they are scared of actually taking that step forward, or maybe because it feels so good. But it's been long actually since I last saw myself complain, and maybe I've forgotten the reason why people do complain. So, like, can you help me clarify rather why you think people complain all the time?
So, first of all, complaints, right? I won't say they feel good complaining, but like it's like a self-destruct button. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a self-destruct button within us. Do you understand? Every human being has a self-destruct button. Like everybody has their own switch, everybody has their own switch. And the moment we see a need to complain, do you understand?
Yeah.
Is what we levy on. It's like we said, it is like you said about the analogy of the tree and Adam and Eve basically. They were so curious. Like human beings are so curious to wanting to know more. Do you understand? So when the moment you are curious to wanting to know something that you basically just put that thing as a priority, basically, right? So you are levying that your whole mind, your whole body on that thing. That is what you are leveraging on. Basically, you're now banking on that thing. That's the only thing that you see as a priority for you, right? And you want to get to the root of it, forgetting what the other things you see. So basically, it's an advantage at the same time. It's a disadvantage when you channel it to the wrong, basically the wrong line. People tend to always look for this destruct button because it's easier.
Because it's easier.
It's easier, right? It's easier, and then that is why they always wish to complain. Because when you complain about something, that person like sees like yes, obviously the struggles, the problems. Now he knew from the start that the struggles and problems would come, and when the struggles and problems arise, it's now like basically now he's resorting to his self-destruct button, bam, and he starts to complain. Now he's giving everybody reasons why he's not going to continue, and the reasons probably even make sense. We feel pity for them, and then boom, they end up not doing that thing. They end up not actually scaling through that thing, right? They end up seeing it, and basically it relieves them of problems. Basically, they feel free afterwards, right? Because they didn't have to basically go through stress again. Once they started to see stress, bam, they self-destruct. Do you understand? So they are living on that idea that the problems were actually the what's it called, the good, and that is where that's the whole game that basically school has made us. Do you understand? School basically made us. I what's it called, accept. Play it safe. If you see stress, don't go for it. Stress is what will make you be ahead of your peers. If you see it, don't go for it. Just self-destruct. Play it safe. Don't take the risk. It's not worth it. Basically, you understand. So they make you play it safe, and you always play it safe every day. And then one of the means to basically self-destructing is through complaints. When they see your complaints, they see it as yes, it's actually a mighty problem. Let's take it. Don't worry, don't go through it. Boom, you're pampered, and then you don't have to go through that problem. You don't have to go through that stress. Do you understand? So people see complaining as a self-destruct button. Everybody has their own self-destruct button. Most of what we see, most people's own is just basically complaints, and that is why they don't end up succeeding in any field that they find themselves, because they just always keep on complaining. Right? Those people even end up doing more, putting their mind into like many like what's it called, put your hands into solid your hands into many things, right? But really don't have any fruit to bear at the end of the day, because they don't always scale, they don't always go through and follow up to the plans because of it's a problem. Do you understand? They are scared. They're scared of what, of going, basically taking up the challenges. Scaling through, basically going above the obstacles, right? Pushing forward. They're scared of it, so they just always resort to the self-destruct button, and that is one way complaints comes in, basically. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Because I seriously needed clarity on that, because I mean, why people, well, like you say, why people actually complain? It's just that, it's just like there's this thing I saw: human beings behave in ways they are consistent with. You understand? So when new challenges come up, you fall back to your old habits. You understand? And then your mind will now play this image, making you think that you're conquering it while you're actually submitting to it. So thank you for the answer. I think it was actually very, very, very beautiful, right? Can you tell me, like, how do you think people, let's say I'm in the habit of complaining, right? I complain a lot, I hardly take action and all that. And I asked you, Tony, how can I stop complaining? How can I reduce the way I complain? How can I become proactive, not reactive to the things around me? How can I like absorb this mentality of I'm responsible for myself? Like, you understand the question, right?
Yeah, I understand. You know, like you said, how can I be proactive and not reactive? One important thing that everybody needs to understand in life is the act of meditating, right?
Yeah.
It's so powerful and such a powerful skill that I learned when in school. Right, I went to a Catholic school, and so they always made us like meditate, right, in the chapel, right, in the what's it called, and people just always saw that meditation as prayer. They didn't see like a powerful tool that it's not just you don't have to always go to the best sacrament and just be calm, think about and reflect. Like I said, meditation, reflection, basically, what we call it was reflection, that was reflection. So, the power of reflection, seeing yourself, like basically, how looking at a mirror, you basically see your reflection, seeing yourself from within, reflection, right? So, the moment you see yourself from within, and then you just start to look at your life as it's playing, like the truth about the matter is we have good in us. For us to tap into that good, everybody has both good and evil in them. You just have to for you to actually tap into that good. You understand? You have to sit yourself down, think, just live your life, and then you start seeing how those complaints are probably taking you nowhere. Right? You start seeing that, oh, I put my mind into this, I put my mind into that, I've not achieved it. What was I did that was so similar? What was I always doing? What was the consistent behavior that I was taking? You start seeing that these were the cons you were taking, these were the things that were basically hindering your success. And you were so consistent in all the things you try to put your mind into, right? And then you start to understand that my life has always taken this turn, has always led to this result because of the certain tools that I was implementing, right? The certain characteristics that I was portraying, basically certain habits that I was always doing, right? And then I was becoming that person that I wasn't becoming. I was always complaining. Do you understand? So now you see that your identity basically now has basically become someone that is not successful, but rather unsuccessful. You understand? Always regressing, never progressing. Do you understand? So now you've reflected. So reflection is such a powerful tool. Like I said, it is the act of looking at yourself, looking at your life from within. So the power of reflection is what I would advise you to do. You just reflection is what I would advise you to take it as a normal thing. Like just take it as a pill that you do every single week, every day, depending on you. Reflect. Reflect on your life. Reflect on your past days, how you've lived your life. In the past week, what have you done? What have you achieved? What do you want to achieve in the next days? How do you have in mind? What ideas? Write it down. It's reflection state. Being in a state of total silence and recollecting everything that you've actually done in your life. It is an important tool, a pill that you take in and swallow that will cure you of any sickness that you have, right? Complaining is one sickness. It will cure you of the act of always resorting to self-destruction. Do you understand? So now you do that. As you do that, you see yourself thinking optimistic. Then, after reflecting, I'm showing you that after reflecting, you understand that how to cure your proactive and reactive state, how to cure your reactive state. The truth about people who are reactive, right, is that these people, they don't hesitate, like, they don't hesitate. Do you understand? They never hesitate. Hesitation is never a key, it's not something that they always, they're always wanting to do. They don't take time in that moment. So if someone slaps you in that moment, right? The two people they think, oh, but then they don't think it through, right? They lack hesitation, right? They lack on the second thought. That on the second thought is such an important tool you need to understand. Taking something through, having a second thought about it is actually a very important tool. So people should learn to think things through before they act. Right? Once you are thinking something through, you start the reflection stage. You see that whenever you find yourself in any situation that you feel like you have to react, normally you react in that situation. You will now start seeing yourself being more proactive than reactive. You start seeing yourself even trying to avoid the situation before you find yourself in that situation. So this is the act of reflection. You will start basically rather than reacting, you be proactive. Basically, you will not want to find yourself in a situation where you have to react. Do you understand? Yeah. And that's the power of reflection. It advances your life. It makes your life more progressive rather than regressive. You will not want to be reacting to things because you will see them before it happens. Do you understand? Yeah. Once you've been able to recollect what you've done before, your ways change, right? And the moment your ways change because you've been able to see that these things happened because of I was doing this. So these things happening, the only reason why you are basically at a disadvantage to yourself is because you never saw the obstacle coming. But that's just the truth about experience. Once you've been able to accept that you've experienced such a thing before, you've been able to reflect and recollect what has happened and how you handle the situation. You'll see that once I did this because of this problem, right? Once a similar problem, you're now thinking that these problems are always coming. So the moment a similar problem comes, I am able to put myself in this situation where I won't even need to be in that situation. Or if it comes, I will not react. Do you understand? In this certain manner. So I think you'll be forced to react in certain manners, but it's the way you react that is now the manner of reaction that will now like basically deter you from a basically someone that is becoming and someone that is just always complaining basically. So yeah, that is the advice I would give you.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. You know, yesterday I was actually just sitting down with my thoughts, and then I was thinking, I was asking myself, right? It's not something to praise myself or hype myself. I asked myself, why am I so smart? And then I was like, because I used to read, and I told myself, but that's not the reason. Yes, I used to read, but like I can't actually attribute. I can only attribute 20% of my smartness to reading. I'll not lie. So I now had to ask myself again, like, oh, what was it exactly? And then I checked one thing in common with me and with Tony and with some other smart people I know. So that they are the only people that I know that they can actually sit with their thoughts. Bro, you know sometimes you don't even actually need books to be smart. Actually, like you can sit with your thoughts. Your thoughts are very powerful. If you can sit with your thoughts, if you can start getting aware of the self, you understand, you become aware of who you are, a lot of things are going to start changing for you. Like yesterday, I think I like cracked the code to that answer when I got the answer of being able. For me, it's sometimes walking by myself and thinking. Sometimes it's sitting by myself, but all the time, every day. If you ask me who do I talk to the most in a day, I talk to myself. Normal people say that you're crazy or whatever. You're not crazy, guy. You understand? Because your mind now, your mind will have your mind is like an infinite intelligence machine. Once in a while, it will push something upwards. Now, when you're always in parties or when you're always scrolling through social media, all these things, now you'll not be able to pick these things. When you'll be able to pick them is in silence. It's in silence. It's in silence. It's in silence. The fact that you don't know how to stay alone, the fact that you're not comfortable with silence, you're basically just like killing yourself. You need to let it get, because that is when you actually think. Now you're telling me that is because I'm not a boring person, or it's because of whatever that I don't like staying in silence. No, there's this dormant, should I call it movement or quotes that is going around that maybe because you don't like silence, you like people, all these things, then it means that you're not a fucking sharp person, guy. You can't basically spend 10 minutes with the self. Then how do you want to know who you are, right? But you're busy reading every day. You are reading books. You are going to lectures. You are talking to. You are doing everything, but you don't even know who you are. But you don't even know who you are. You understand? So I just thank Tony for saying that thing he said now, right? It's the one characteristic of every smart person. It's a code that I cracked it yesterday. Yesterday was not the first time I asked myself, why am I so smart? Some people have also asked me the question, right? And then maybe I'll just tell them that, yeah, it's because I read and I actually don't understand. But even upon giving them that answer, deep down I know that this thing is not the reason. Why exactly am I so smart? And then I now brought up the answer surfaced yesterday in a plate of gold is because you sit down with your thoughts. Geniuses are not people that think about what people don't think about. They're people that think about what most people neglect. Stop neglecting your thoughts. Right? Whatever you're feeling, like, describe that thing to yourself now. Just tell yourself. Have you ever told yourself when you're angry? I'm angry. Why am I angry exactly? Right? Does this thing actually warrant me being angry? Some people have never sat with their thoughts. They are always reacting, 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 reacting. You keep on losing yourself. You keep on losing yourself. You don't even basically know who you are. You understand? So I just thank Tony for actually bringing that into light today for me to like expand on it. Like, because this thing is like very important. Maybe say it can even be a separate topic, right? The number one thing every smart person does, right? So thank you for that.
Yeah, so like actually now this is actually a very very important topic, right? Personally, yeah, I know Mitchell for someone that loves reading. I know that he's a very smart person, right? And I know that most of his like some of his smartness is attributed to the fact that he reads, right? But then this is something that personally, like, if Mitchell is someone that might be, if you look at his life, he reads, right, a lot. But personally, from personal speaking, I'm telling you that I'm someone that I said it before. I said I'm someone that doesn't read. I don't like reading. I've always been forced all my life to read books. Like, I have a lot of books in my house. I have a bookshelf that books scattered all over the place. Basically, right? I have siblings who read books, right? Academic books, right? Story books, whatever, novels. Like, I have siblings who are engaged, they engage themselves in books. I don't engage myself in books. I've never been the reading type, right? I've always been that person that carries a pen, right? Carries a paper and write things down. After 3 hour session with myself in the shower. Like after it, like I can spend 1 hour 35 minutes in the shower, not even bathing. Like I've never started like what I'm doing is like I'm just talking. I'm just talking to myself. I'm just like just basically talking to myself. Like I almost finding myself in situations where nobody's around, so that I can be able to express myself more. And talk to who? My thoughts. Basically just say, talk to how I'm feeling, how I'm making, just basically how I'm feeling, right? Maybe I want to react in a specific way. I am not supposed to react in that way, right? Maybe something happens to me. The next minute I go somewhere, I react that way. I just basically react in that way. I see the things that I would have said to the person if it was allowed, basically. Yeah. Then I told myself, this thing that I've done now, yes, it is nice, it's fun, right? I can see why people who do it basically, because it's actually a nice thing. It's actually a nice feeling to let go of pains, basically. But really, it is not a very very good way to portray yourself. So these are the ways I learned a lot. Basically, just doing things on my own. Not really like doing things on my own, but I learned this act from just doing it, right? I learned a lot of things that I know today from just being on my. I did not go to YouTube to learn this ones.
Yeah.
Most of these things, I barely even knew that there were people who already talked about it. It was just things that were uncovering in my head, right? The idea was so clear in my head that I felt like I was the only person that knew about it. But then I didn't want to share it at first because it was like I'm the only person that knows about it. And then when I used to talk about things like this, basically I've been told that I was mad. There was a time I had a beef with I had this discourse with my family. Like they literally all gang up on me, and I was like, I am soliloquizing. My mom said, am I mad? That is soliloquy is attributed to mad persons. And there was a storybook that they were trying to associate the soliloquizing to mad people. And then I was like, bro, but then that doesn't really mean soliloquizing just for mad people. People that just talk on their own selves, that basically hiding their thoughts.
Actually, it's not.
Like,
Understand? Because I like yesterday, it was so philosophical for me, and I cried. I said like, the reason why I'm so smart. No, it's not because I'm trying to like hype myself. Because I wanted to know.
yes.
Because some people have asked me, and when I tell them reading, something inside me knows that this is not the whole cake. This is not the. I just give them like cut of the cake. Then I checked you. I checked myself. I checked some other very smart people I know. I was like, okay, it is it. These people are the only people that should sit with their thoughts. Like you need to like be able to sit with your thoughts. Like it's very fucking important.
I've never like opened all this read that part. That was the only book I actually read, right? That was just the one book, and I was like in my seniors, like beginning of my ending of my junior year of secondary school to beginning of the senior year of secondary school. That was the time I read that book, right? I've never read any self-improvement book or money book or psychology. I've never read all these books. Basically, seven atomic habits of highly effective people. I've never read it. All these big books like Trading in the Zone. I've never read it. Like all these big books that we talk about today that we basically affiliate ourselves with, making money and stuff like that. That we talk about on this podcast. Basically, I never even knew about them until I came to this school. That is the power of sitting down with yourself. You can tap into so many information that you yourself, or like the truth about the information, about the truth about life is the information is already within us. We don't understand that we are more powerful than AI. Like we have more information that AI can't even give us. Right? We have the answers to every single thing, but we need to sit down in our mind is like an elastic brain. Like I don't know. Someone said this. The mind is. Someone said this, but this was something that I realized on my own. The mind is like an elastic. It's like a rubber band, basically. Right? It's like a very like elastic something. There's no limit to where you can stay. It's just that once stretched, it can never like basically come back to the original state. Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I did not have to go and learn from physics, right? Because I think there was there's their own law concerning elasticity and stuff like that in physics. I did not learn it from physics. This is something that I did not even have to go and make. I had to just sit down on my own and understand this fit, understand what it was. Like the mind is so elastic. The mind is it's something like if you stretch for, it can stretch for as far as, and things it will never come back to that state it was before. Do you understand? So people should start seeing how powerful themselves are, that their selves are. You limit yourselves by the things you do, by the habits you basically inculcate. That's what you limit yourself by. Right? These habits you do every single day that you make yourself, that you basically just always result with defaults, but that switch button, that default destruct button. These are the certain choices you made, like I said, microscopic choices that you are making every single day of your life that you see as unimportant. Right? The moment you start seeing all these unnecessary things as important, and again, another thing that you should guys need to understand is speaking to God. Like you can speak to God, and the truth about speaking to God is you get clarity of the mind. Like you can speak to Him and know what He's talking about, and know Him even much better without being forced. Like you can just know what God is wanting from you in a specific. You can just start seeing things as revelations to you. Like the truth about prayer is something that is not just supposed to be tempted to just religious people. Prayer is never is not something that is cast and binding. That's not prayer. Has never been that. Prayer is the communication with the heavenly being, right? With God, basically. It's just meant to be a communication with God. What we see as prayer. We have to go to church to go and pray. No, or we have to wake up in the morning and pray. No, it's not prayer. Prayer is a communication that you can have with somebody. It's just basically you having a phone to be able to communicate. The truth about it is your body, your mind, your soul is the phone you need to communicate with God. Like that's just how powerful these things are. And then you just need to ask yourself, do I do this? These things are very, very important. Do I do this? Once you are able to like understand that, you are free to talk to God. Do you understand? You're not free to talk to God. You start to see clarity. You start to understand things from a different perspective. And then the moment you start to understand it, your mindset just widens. Your idea about your knowledge about things just becomes more and more and more. You start to understand God more. Like you start to see things differently. Like when I came to this corner, I was learning philosophy. I won't even lie to you. Most of all these things that the materialistic, naturalist, idealism basically, for instance, where we talk about the world is from what, spirit and basically um spirit and soul, yes, body and so, basically mind and spirit, basically that's where the world came from, right? And then we talk about panentheism, right? Basically, and what's it called, a philosophy doctrine where people believe that the what's it called, God is basically nature. Do you understand? That God is basically nature. Yeah, I think it's, yeah. This philosophical doctrine was something that I basically sat myself down and understood. And when I read the book, I saw that philosophers from the ages, right, basically knew about it right before I came into existence. Philosophers did not have AI, they didn't have internet, they didn't have all these things. What they did was they learned these things, they learned this act, they learned this beauty of communicating with their inner selves. They did not know that they were communicating with the heavenly being. They just felt that they were communicating with their spirit. Came up with these various theories, truths, to be fair. They are all truths. Everything is intertwined because of their various ideologies. You feel like they cannot be put together. They are all very, very, very important truths that we need to see. The truth about God is God can never have an identity. You can never, because the moment you have God has an identity, you basically restrict him from a lot of things. Like human beings now. Human beings are spirits, but are only restricted with the flesh that we have. Do you understand? So we identify as human beings. God is not a human being. He's a spirit. So there's a lot of things you can attribute him to because he's more than just one thing. So when they tell you that three persons in one, so are you seeing like all these things? So basically, you start to understand things, very, very, very various things, right? Religiously, you start to understand a lot of things when you have the ability to self-reflect. That's what I'm telling you. You have the ability to self-reflect. You have the ability to self-reflect. You start to see yourself a truth. You start to see yourself basically not just giving yourself different patterns to life, various patterns that people can look at them like, yes, identify to this, identify to that, identify to that. So that's just the truth about life, right? Truth about life. And like, so far so good. I believe that all these topics basically we have basically been able to bring you to the idea, to the knowledge that you need to basically prepare you to a better level, better stage. Do you understand? To that next level, right? We're always looking for the next level because it's all about improvement, self-improvement. We're always looking for the next level. We're not looking for just the norm. We're not looking for mediocrity. We're not looking to settle for this. We're always looking to move and advance, right? And that's what this topic, this whole series we've compiled together is all about. It's not just about the billionaire and the total. It's all about the stages you need, that it's just about the things, the tools you need to have in place to propel you to the next level. Whenever we talk about a billionaire, we're talking about the next level. Whenever we're talking about a church, we're talking about the regressing, basically settling for less. So I believe that this topic has been able to unravel your mind to the certain tools you need, and you've learned a lot from it, basically.
Okay, yeah, so that's it for this marathon series, the Billionaire and the Torturer. If you listen to the 10 episodes of this marathon, right, supposedly you're supposed to have questions, right? And I believe that you gained a lot of value from episode 1 that talked about mindset to episode 10 that talked about the identity and becoming, right? So whatever question it is you have, our comment box, like I keep saying, it is always open. Remember, on Wednesday we are going to be having our 20th episode where we will review your truths, your confessions, your warnings, your dreams, and whatever it is you wrote on our comment box. So see you on Wednesday and have a good day.